hit record. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Beauty Under 40 group interview in the community category. We have three amazing people who I'm going to let introduce themselves on the line. We're fast approaching the deadline for, or not deadline, but the Beauty Under 40 Digital Awards event, which is this coming Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And so this is a way for us to get to know three of the people in the community category that that'll be in the game. So, Alana, why don't we start with you with an introduction, please?
Hi, my name is Alana. I own RP Self Center, which is a women's entrepreneur collective in Sherwood Park, just outside of Edmonton, Alberta. I operate my hair business, Rock Paper Hair, full-time out of, and really exciting news, literally 10 minutes before this call started, not putting it down to the wire or anything, we're allowed to open tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah. Let's leave it to the last minute, government of Alberta, but you know, we can open tomorrow. So I operate my hair business, Rock Paper Hair, full-time inside, and then there's 6 other independent women business owners. It's a suite rental style that we share this space out of.
Cool. Mark?
Yeah, I'm Mark, and I am currently in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, in probably the worst lighting known to man. And I see everybody else's box really well lit, and I'm actually kind of jealous. I work in Nova Scotia. I have a couple barbershops here called Sailor Buff's Barbershop, which is kind of a silly name, but it's named after my dad. So yeah, we have 4 locations, and I also have started the Community Barber Showcase, which is why I'm here, which is that giant pile of shirts right there. So yeah, and the Community Barber Showcase was an event we did in Halifax, and we did one in Toronto, and we did one in Vancouver, and brought barbers and hairstylists from all over the world. And we put them all on one stage because we figured, like, what happens when you strip away the barber and the hairdresser or hairstylist, and all of a sudden you're just a human being cutting hair in a room with people that are exactly the same in the brain and in the trade as you. All 3 shows sold out, and we saw people fly in from St. John's, Newfoundland to Los Angeles, California. So yeah, I love what I do. I love cutting hair, and I love it when people are just like, oh, cool. So, you know, it's, you know, you just cut hairs, and they kind of give you that whole shtick. I think we've all heard it before. It's considerably more than that, and it's weird because, you know, you see all these things like barber life and hairstylist life, and I think we all can kind of get behind that and get behind that thought mentality. So yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell and why I'm here.
Cool. Jillian, tell us about you.
Hello, my name is Jillian, and I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan. I actually recently became a salon owner not quite a year ago, so in August. And at the salon, we're called Honeycomb Hair Lounge, so we are actually very inspired by the bees and their importance to the earth, and just that's kind of been our inspiration behind everything. And with that, we also wanted to create a community within the salon where you can come in, feel good. Of course, when you get your hair done, that's something that we always feel, but just creating a community where you feel like we can uplift each other, you know, talk about each other's feelings, and just really relate to one another, because I really feel like our community has come through, especially during these COVID-19 times.
Right.
It's been a very hard time for everyone, and I think that's really shown how amazing, even in Regina, the small community, how it can be. So yeah, so I've been a hairstylist for about 11 years, but I'm just newly a salon owner.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alana, do you remember where you were when you found out about your Beauty Under 40 nomination?
Oh, when did you guys announce it?
It was probably back in November.
I remember getting the email and being really excited about it. No, to be honest, I was probably working at the salon as I do all day, every day.
And Mark, what did the team at Sailor Bub say when you said, "Hey, I got nominated for this weird thing"?
Well, first of all, I didn't say it was a weird thing. Don't you put those words in my mouth. No, they were all super stoked. They got really, really, really excited. They were involved in the very first community barber showcase that we did. They were really heavily involved in the work behind the scenes and stuff like that. So they knew how much work and everything went into it, especially to get the amount of people in that we did. But they were super, super, super excited, and they're still like, even like ramping up to this and going into next week. They're still really, really supportive of it. It's crazy, the helicopter crash. Everyone heard about the helicopter crash that went down. That two of the clients inside the shop and one of my personal clients was on that helicopter and went missing. And we took the shirts that we were going to be moving at the ABA, and we sold them off to go to the families of Max and Brendan. But all of my staff, usually I would just give them the shirts and be like, "Here you go, guys," and they wear them and all that other stuff. But they're still super excited for everything. So they got behind it, and they paid for the shirts themselves, even like a pandemic when they don't have a whole lot of money to go around. So, they're excited, they're pumped. And as far as I know, they're going to be watching, but I don't know.
So Jillian, what about you? What has been the reaction to to your nomination in your community? I don't know if you've how much you've told people outside your clients and stuff. It's been at least initially you had that opportunity. Now not so much. But what's been the reaction from the people in your circle?
The reaction has been like overwhelming, actually. Lots of friends and family, super supportive, my clients. My reaction was like, I think I cried when I read that, but I think at the time when I first found out that I was nominated, I was just newly opening a hair salon at that time. And I didn't really have a lot of confidence in myself, but that actually gave me the confidence that I needed to kind of build and create a community within the salon. Yeah.
And Alana, when did you realize or start to think about the need for community in our industry? Like, why is that especially important for us?
So I think I saw the importance of community right from the very beginning. So I've always been in, when I was 17, I got involved with my first ABA hair competition. And I got to really see that, like, there's our industry as a whole, but then there's like this whole niche community of people who are really into it. It's like, this is my job, this is my career, this is my passion. People ask me, like, what do you do on your day off? And it's like, well, when people don't pay me to do hair, I do hair for free for like photo shoots and competitions and stuff. And there's a whole ABA community of people. You kind of got to see the same people at competitions all the time. Everyone's so supportive, and everyone would be like, critiquing each other's work or being like, hey, I found this out. And I really loved that community within the ABA. You got into the judges program and everything like that. So when I would go back and work in salons that weren't that kind of hoorah, supportive atmosphere of like lifting everyone up, that's when I started being like, I know it's out there. I know our industry has the capacity for it. We just need a little bit of help getting there. So when I opened the center, I really wanted it to be like what I felt was always missing when I worked in salons, of that community over competition. We can all support each other and have a happy, positive work environment.
Cool. So Mark, you've taken this community idea, you're building the community barbers, but you're what's so interesting about some of the stuff that you've done is that you're literally smashing them together, right? And just saying, look, yes, we all live in our silos, but for this moment, for this night, we're gonna just let all of our egos at the door, and we're gonna stand shoulder to shoulder with someone who tomorrow I'll be worried that they might be taking my clients. But for today, we're gonna just do this in the spirit of love and growing the industry. How did you overcome the initial pushbacks that you must have heard when you say, hey, I know you hate that salon guy, that barber guy, but he's going to be in the same room with you, and it's all for this bigger purpose?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I have this, I don't know, I've had it kind of programmed in my brain for so long that, you know, there's always going to be negativity. There's always going to be, you know, hostility, especially in this industry. But that was the whole goal of this, is just to kind of strip it down, because barbers and hairstylists are just bleeding at this point. Do you know what I mean? I don't believe in the fact that, like, you know, that like barbers and hairstylists need to be separated completely, and there needs to be a beef going on. So, you know, I know hairstylists that can do, you know, short clipper barber haircuts better than a lot of barbers that I know, and vice versa. You know, I've seen some barbers put out some insane work when it comes to, like, you know, longer styles and something that was considered more along the lines of hairdressing. So it was more or less just like, I knew that there was going to be some silliness going into it, but, you know, we did the first one here in Halifax, and there was none. And then we went to Toronto, and I knew that there were a couple people there that were butting heads a little bit. Nothing.
Yep.
We're all there for the same thing. But like, we have people on stage doing stuff, but it's also about more than just learning how to do a haircut or learning a tick, you know, a trick or a tip or technique. You know, Tom Chapman, my friend from the UK, he's done a TED talk on men's mental health and men's suicide and stuff like that. He came and did, instead of doing a haircut on stage, he sat and talked about the you know, the mental health struggles that we see inside the shops and we see with our clients coming in. So it's literally everything. It was shop owners literally just handing out their, you know, success stories for people to take in, and there were new shop owners there to hear it. So I think once word traveled through our community and through our industry, people found out about it, and they're like, all right, cool, I'm going to go to this. And it just, for a day, everyone just drops it. And, you know, it's kind of cool because if you read up on history, I believe it was like World War II, on Christmas Day, there were two enemy lines, and Christmas Day, they just stopped fighting, and it was just Christmas.
Yeah.
So just, you know, they like gave each other little gifts and stuff like that. And I think that, like, as human beings, we have that connection. So, you know, there's dollars and there's money and everything else, but at the end of the day, you also have to have your ethics and your morals in place. So that's something that, like, I really love to see, because I always tell people it's not a hair show, it's an actual event. And people come out and they do network, and they do talk to people that maybe they don't see. And I've actually seen people come in and completely squash beefs inside the room, which is really, really, really good to see. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. Like, that's the mission.
Yeah. Jillian, you have, in addition, I'm so fascinated about the bees. As I'm sure Alana is too, but I actually have a different question for you, which is,
Sure.
I'd like for you to tell us more about Honey Home and the inspiration behind creating a truly local idea that would help people through this trying time, which is a different way of building community. You know, Mark and Alana are talking about it from the artist side. Honey Home is a way to build community on the client side. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Just to clarify, so are you talking about Honeycomb Hair Lounge, the salon, or Honey Home, the online that we came out with over COVID?
Yeah, the Honey Home, the COVID.
Honey Home.
Yeah.
Yes. So as soon as this, everything kind of happened, we were forced to close our doors. I just felt like there must be a way to still give our community, you know, the right hair tools and supplies that they might not have with all the hair salons closing.
Mhm.
And we actually didn't have an online store at all. So I made one in like 2 days. I fired up a Shopify account, did some research. My partner helped me, and we we created Honey Home, I guess. We thought that was like a good little title for it. And we've been doing online deliveries for hair products, hair tools, brushes, anything anyone needed over the pandemic. And so I personally would just go to the salon, drive out all these orders. It was the Regina area, so there were some small towns in there as well. And yeah, we had an amazing, overwhelming amount of support with that, which I was blown away by. So yeah, that really helped us a lot too as a business. Just kind of kept a bit of money flowing while we were closed. But yeah, I was really, really shocked by the overwhelming amount of support there. So
Cool. So Alana, as I mentioned, Alana and Jillian have this bee thing in common, which Mark, we're going to be left out of for a second because they are both obsessed with bees. So this is a different way of building community, is acknowledging our responsibility to the kind of global community. I'm curious to just hear both of you talk a little bit about bees and why holding on to bees is so important, and how how bees have informed you as a business owner, or what the relationship and response has been from your clients and your staffs hearing that, you know, bees are really important to hold on to. Alana?
Well, I like bees. I am an amateur beekeeper. I have 2 hives in my backyard. So for my client, like I gave some of like my top 10%, we'll call it, my clients gifts at Christmas for like, you know, my favorites, and I gave them all like a little thing of honey with my logo on it. Bees are awesome. They're so great. And I think really people don't understand, like, if the bees die, we're out of luck. I think like 65% of all food comes from pollination from bees. And then people are like, well, I don't really like fruits and vegetables. You're like, well, but you know, like bees pollinate corn and wheat crops that you need to feed cows and all the other tasty foods, right? Like, bees are great and they're awesome. I really love that you've incorporated into your branding for the salon. I love that idea. I love there's so many cute little things you can do with that. You can get those little like honeycomb hexagon shelves. Like, oh, I love it. I think it's great. But if everyone loved bees a bit more and had more backyard beehives and stuff, the world would be a much better place.
I definitely agree with Alana, and I think that's absolutely amazing that you have like a little bee thing in your backyard. I think I might have to actually get into that, because that's awesome, and what a good idea for gifts around Christmas. I think that's amazing. But yeah, like Alana said, there's such a big importance to our world and earth, fruits, vegetables, even flowers. Like I feel I've always been attracted to flowers and just like anything earth related. Maybe it's my earth sign, I don't know. I'm a big traveler, so I feel very grounded around those things. Honeycomb, we actually threw an event when we had opened, and we threw an event called, it was actually called the Taste of Honey, and it was a Halloween party, and we threw this big party, and we had proceeds of the event go towards the Bee Cause. So the Bee Cause is an organization in, I believe, Ottawa, but it helps educate Canadians on the importance of bees and just why they're important. So that's kind of we want to actually get in touch with them again and do some more donations with that, and just get involved with working with them as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, you've built outside of the shop, you built community focused around mental illness, which is super important to you. So tell me about that and how you've built that community and how it, if it does, connect back into your business.
Yeah. So first of all, I have a beehive under my step. I don't like tend to them and like make honey and stuff, but I have a beehive under my step. Anyway.
Is it a beehive or a wasp nest?
Oh no, it's a beehive. It's not a wasp nest. If it was wasp, I just burned the house to the ground.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Because like wasps are the devil bees, right? Like we don't need them for anything. They're literally pointless. They were sent from hell. I'm pretty close. Bees are awesome, but
yeah,
go away.
Yeah, you know, if you have a beehive under your step, like bees and wasps are territorial. So if you have a beehive, you're not going to have a problem with wasps at all. So
great. What about the murder hornet? What can it do?
Murder hornets are like they'll wipe out your entire hive. Like
no, yeah.
terrible.
There's no help for the hornets.
Kind of terrifying.
Well, like I said, I find one of those things, I'm burning my house down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I went through a really, really, really bad bout of depression and anxiety, and as a man, I was very ashamed at trying to talk about it, and it really kind of struck a chord with me, and I started talking to a lot of my clients as I was cutting their hair, and I started doing just lots of research on things while I was trying to kind of get my head all around it, and mental illness affects way more people than we know. You know what I mean? Like there's 4 of us on here. 1 in 4 people in Canada suffer at some point from, a mental illness along the way. And there is a very big stigma surrounding it. And it was one of those things where I do travel the world with this job, and I do work, I work with Maddie Conrad on the Victory brand line. And, I see it all the time. We went haywire on shows and traveling and stuff like that. People are like, oh man, like you guys were in England and you guys were, down in Vegas and Los Angeles and Orlando and Birmingham. And man, that must be so much fun. And meanwhile, I'm in hotel rooms and I'm just like, I just want to go home. Like I love Maddie to death. He's one of my best friends. But, it was one of those things where like, you're walking into these things and your shoulders are up and you don't feel like yourself. So, I really did start to see a lot of that stuff with my clients that I was talking to, and just asking general questions without coming out and just straight up asking it. So it's something that I think anybody who works in a salon or a barber shop can actually can get behind. I mean, the one thing that really, really punched me in the face and made me realize just that I can kind of help these guys and help these people. I had a client that came in and he was like, hey, I found out, my wife was cheating on me. She booted me out. We have kids. I was heartbroken. So I came to get my hair cut, and then I was going to go home and kill myself. And, I woke up and I felt good about things. I felt good about myself. And after talking to you, and you didn't even know what happened. And so that kind of hit me pretty hard. So it's one of those things where like I make sure that it doesn't, define me and who I am, because I am on the other side of it now, and I have kind of worked through it, and I found the things that worked for me. But I've also just recently, it sucks because I just took out the lease on this spot right before all this pandemic stuff broke out, and I have this little spot that I'm going to be using to do just like haircut pictures and things like that, because I don't agree with taking pictures on paying clients and putting their pictures up. It's just me. I'm not saying that it's wrong for anybody else, but for me, if I'm going to sit there and really pick away at someone's haircut, then I want to have this space to do it. But also, it's kind of like a studio space. I just dabble around in photography and videography. I'm not a professional by any stretch. I leave that to my friends. But I took this spot out, and it's big enough that I can actually put together a community of men that need this help, that don't feel comfortable going somewhere, because I've noticed that guys feel more comfortable talking about this stuff when they're around other guys that are talking about it, because then they're vulnerable. Toxic masculinity is the biggest pile of crap that I've ever seen. And, you know, the disdain that I have for toxic masculinity is through the roof. So yeah, it is kind of a way that I have got to know my customers through this, but now it's starting to roll over and it's just, you know, friends and acquaintances and stuff like that. So there will be a chair in there. So if it's guys who suffer from really high social anxiety, or maybe they're just super bummed out and don't want to go into public, I'm going to have a couple days every single month set aside to be able to cut their hair inside this space and just let them be comfortable. And, you know, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we need to stop talking and start listening more. And I think that that's kind of like the good first step going into it. You know, there's going to be access to resources for these guys, be it, you know, fitness programs, dietitians, psychologists, counselors, therapists, exercise groups, things like that. So just the little things they can do in the meantime to kind of get things going. So I'm very, very, very outspoken about mental health. I'm not preachy about it or anything like that. I try not to be preachy about it, but I know just the toll that it took on me. And, you know, I can look at pictures of myself when I was going through this and I'm just like, damn, like I look like that, you know, and I didn't even know it. I had no clue. So I think awareness is a big piece to it. And the minute that we move away from this whole thing about men need to be tough guys, men need to be, you know, they need to suck up their stuff and they need to get it together. We need to start encouraging men, because some, you know, I'm not going to get into the statistics and everything, but if you're sitting around and you're bored, you should really Google the statistics of the successful suicide rates in men versus women.
Thanks, Mark. Alana, so we've been talking about Beauty Under 40 for now almost 6 months from the time that we started the initial nomination, and now the finals will be on Tuesday. Have you had the opportunity to just kind of reflect on the nomination, being a finalist, and it, you know, one of the other finalists mentioned to me that it gave me the opportunity to like think about my whole career and how I got here, and just, you know, give me that one moment to give myself a pat on the back. How do you, like, reflecting on your career and where you are at this point, put the Beauty Under 40 nomination and finalists in some context, if you can?
I think it did give me time to reflect, because I think especially in our industry, we tend not to give ourselves a whole lot of credit, where it is just what we do. And we're not doing it for recognition, but it's really nice to be appreciated and to kind of get the nomination right around the time, like I think it was earlier March, but kind of around the time when all this COVID stuff was happening, and to get that recognition of an appreciation of, you know, you are doing this for a reason. Other people are noticing and recognizing and appreciating the effort that you're putting into things, because I think, like, it's a lot of work. You two also own salons and businesses, and some days it can be really hard, and you're kind of like, what am I doing this all for? Is it making a difference? Is it having any sort of impact? So having that recognition and the moment to kind of, like you said, pat yourself on the back and be like, you are making a difference. You are having an impact, and people see that and can appreciate that. I think, like, we as a society tend to be so future based, like what's next,
Yep.
that we don't take a minute to be like, hey, look at what I've done, look at what I've accomplished, look at where I think me and Jill are going to be best friends after this, because I travel a lot too. She's like a B lady who travels. It's great.
There's a lot of synergies between the two of you.
Right? Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, what's your Instagram? Like, let's connect.
Rock, paper, hair. At rock, paper, hair. So
Perfect.
I think it's great to have that opportunity to look back and appreciate how far you've come. And I know sometimes just realizing that where you are now used to be a goal. It used to be a dream that you were just like, well, you know, would be nice, but somewhat unattainable. It's nice to take a moment and be like, hey, like, cool.
I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Jillian, what about you?
Yeah, so yeah, honestly, you're exactly what Alana said. I get caught up in sometimes not being confident, and especially just as a new business owner, this is all very new for me. We haven't been quite open for a year, but the amount of support and I think having people around you that do support you and support your decisions and everything that you're doing is really important. Yeah, sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. Yeah, I don't know. It's just been, I think it's been a great honor, and I'm thankful for even being recognized by you guys. I never thought anything like that would ever happen, especially in Regina. I don't know why, but I feel like we're just like a small little city over here. But
Alana's from Sherwood Park.
okay, well, it's close to Edmonton, yeah.
And Mark's not from a big place either.
Okay. Where are you from, Mark?
I'm in Halifax, so we got
Okay.
trailer park.
Well, no, you're in Dartmouth, right?
No, right.
Yeah,
In Dartmouth.
Of course, man. They call it the dark side for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I just say Edmonton because nobody knows Sherwood Park, but my dad lives in the Eastern Passage, so I'm like,
oh, really? Okay, cool. Yeah, so he's super close to me then.
Yeah.
I'm in Dartmouth. Yeah.
So Mark, I'm going to ask you a slightly different question to wrap us up. What would your dad say about your Beauty Under 40 finalist status?
But he hasn't even let me cut his hair yet. So I mean, you know, but I think he'd be proud. My dad comes from a military background. He was in the Navy, so he's just one of those guys that's like doesn't really say too much, but you know what he's thinking. So yeah, I think he'd be proud. You know, I've won a few awards in my time and in my career, and every time I do it, I generally got a message. It was just like, you know, congratulations, you're doing really good. I'm glad to see that, you know, you put your head down and work. Because I mean, before I got into barbering, I was, you know, playing music and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure he's just stoked that I'm no longer sitting in a van for hours on end and then going playing loud, obnoxious music for people. So I think that, especially where his name is attached to it, I think that he'd be stoked, real stoked.
Cool.
Yeah. Proud, I guess, is the best way of saying it.
Stoked works too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark, Jillian, Alana, thank you so much for joining us for the Beauty Under 40 community group interview. We will see you guys on Tuesday for the finals. Stay safe and stay sane. Alana, good luck with reopening. Well, and yeah, stay safe.
Reopening tomorrow.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, thanks again. And this is Ralph Bryant, Beauty Under 40. Talk to you guys next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.